Hello, this is Susan Smith-Nash, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about some things that I've found to be quite interesting in terms of new directions during this pandemic and really observing where we're going to see new trends and potential investment. But it's obviously very fluid, but I just want to share some insights and some basically almost like secret information that can potentially help you. Anyway, I just call this pivoting during the pandemic, new revenue and diversification strategies. And so what I'm seeing are emerging manufacturing, service, and also investment trends. So let's just go walk through this and let's see where we go. So basically, we've got a new world with new needs, and basically those needs are driving economic activity. So there's a need for health, safety, security. There's a need for food, medicine, energy supply. So basically, let's look at these needs and let's say those needs are where the jobs are, but those needs are not staying the same all the time. In the progress of the pandemic, the needs change, and that is the key thing. So the person who's sewing masks or creating masks and selling them, I noticed, like, for example, at Brooks Brothers, they had masks made in the USA of like N86, which looked pretty good, and they're selling packages of them. I thought, hey, I think I'll order some. And you wash them by hand. Now, are those masks going to be something that's going to be in demand forever? We don't know, but you have to be agile. So as we move, okay, notice we've had needs for food, certain medicines, medicine precursors, energy supply, needs for critical supplies. Keep in mind that if you can identify exactly where the supply chain is collapsing, you have identified opportunity. And also, if you have identified the need for manufacturing inputs that are now unavailable due to sole source supplying, you have also identified an opportunity. Raw materials processing, okay, we've looked at agriculture, food supply, that's a huge one. But there's everything else, raw materials processing, and the preservation, unavailable due to COVID-19 labor shortages. So it's not just supply chain in terms of inputs, it's also supply chain in terms of labor supply. And what we have right now emerging, and this will continue to be a massive, massive shift. Warehousing, logistics, transportation options. We need all kinds of contingencies because we've got shortage of, for example, drivers, a shortage of warehouses in the right place. And we're at the same time, we're seeing a lot of retail and a lot of office space suddenly becoming empty. Now, once retail, always retail? I think not. I think ingenuity can create an opportunity. So where do you fit? So there are some surprising and dramatic shifts in consumer behavior, supply chain, attitudes about personal safety, attitudes about the future. And then there's like a newly found confidence in technology. And we can see that in the way that everybody just instantly was able to work from home. I mean, maybe not instantly, but it looked like it, right? And we've also found how quickly people have adopted the notion of synchronous or live meetings instead of asynchronous, back and forth email, back and forth this or that. So, I mean, even though notwithstanding this certain creepiness of things that have happened with Zoom or the other things, people are accepting it, and we're seeing it in a massive scale we've never seen before, not just in commerce, but also in education. And not just in higher education, where we saw e-learning emerging, well, easily 25 years ago. Well, maybe not 25, but at least 20 years ago in terms of online learning management system based stuff. And we're also seeing a newly found confidence in the ability to innovate and use creativity to solve problems. So the COVID-19 tsunami has created a number of phases of a kind of pandemic-driven demand. And let's think about those. The first phase will be, and we've already seen it, solutions and substitutes for broken medical supply chains. And it's created a very bizarre realities. For example, when in your lifetime did you ever expect that you would see a demand for hand-sewn cloth surgical masks or medical masks with coffee filters? And it's like, really? Like that's not anything that anybody ever thought would be in huge demand. And then also we're seeing ways of repurposing distribution. So how many places and ways are trucks and hauling services, all sorts of things being repurposed and reused for food supply issues? Hopefully those food supply chains are being repaired. I don't like thinking about crops being plowed under, piglets being euthanized. Oh my gosh, I can't think about it anymore. But that's what's really happened. Okay, so phase 3, making essential services safe. People that pivoted, that maybe were making plexiglass shields in the past for some kind of things on rigs or well site stuff. Now, if they're not creating plexiglass shields for retail and restaurants, etc., they are missing a huge opportunity. And the people who are doing that are busy. But guess what? They are running out of inputs. They're going, oh, we're running out of plexiglass. So in that case, obviously opportunity, provide the inputs. Okay, phase 4, rescuing production and products on the verge of ruin. Food processing, commercial versus retail supply chains. Phase 5, repurposing ravaged industries, reconfiguring the way they are used. So how are we going to repurpose travel? How are we going to reconfigure sports, hospitality, oil and gas? The person who figures out how to make football stadiums safe will be very successful. Okay, phase 6, globally frozen ports and key inputs, and also key outputs. The ports being frozen hurts the supply chain, not just in the fact that you are going to have a hard time getting inputs, but you're also going to have a hard time selling your stuff. Also, lifestyle changes. Online schooling has led to massive lifestyle changes. Also, new equipment needs, monitors, laptops. Okay, so also lifestyle changes, bicycles for exercise and avoiding public transportation, especially in the big cities, home gyms, opportunity. So where will investment go in the next 24 months? We will see selective import substitution. And that occurs because you can't get the import. And suddenly now Just in time didn't seem that great. The idea of the world being flat doesn't seem so great. The world's lumpy. The world has hills. It has valleys. It has arroyos. It has, well, anyway, I won't keep going. But it has problems. And so now the idea of making sure that you have something rather than nothing is a lot better than just, this is cheap. Oh yeah, I have nothing in my warehouse because all I have to do is email my order and they print it on demand and boom, here it is, magic. Shoemakers elves. The shoemakers elves have moved closer to home. I'll just say that. Okay, so we are avoiding sole source and abandoning just in time. So I'm just going to whip through these next kinds of slides. I want to give you some ideas. First of all, will the global supply chain go away? No. There will be more options. And that flat world is now lumpy because things aren't predictably deliverable. However, there's another problem. Countries are saying, as they're sitting writhing in pain because they can't get things or sell things because of sole source dependency or sole customer dependency, they're saying, never again, never, 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 never am I going to be dependent on one province and one country for 80% of the inputs of my manufactured product. Never again. And also people are saying, never again am I going to depend on one client will buy all my output and then do it in a timely way so that it doesn't rot or perish. And then never again will I be vulnerable because if they can't take it, then my piglets, strawberries, blueberries, green beans, potatoes, all rot, have to be plowed under, or I can't talk about the piglets, they just make me sad. Anyway, so never again. So better to have multiple sources of export, multiple clients, multiple sources of supply. Okay, industries perceived as vital to national security are going to be sheltered. They're going to be privileged. Governments are going to say, we're going to control what you do, and you can't just play around with national security. You've got to keep a supply. And it's okay, we'll keep it, we'll pay for it, we'll stockpile it. Economic diversification will be perceived as a matter of national security for all nations. So, as we mentioned before, export-reliant economies will need to develop their consumer service sectors, etc. So diversification starts with repurposing. And I'm just giving a few examples of how some companies have pivoted. Plexiglass, used in oil field equipment, now manufacturing shields for businesses and restaurants. Oil field chemicals, pivoting to ethanol, hydrogen peroxide for disinfectant. Hauling in the oil field, pivoting for use in agricultural processing. 3D printing for medical personal protective equipment, and for like ventilators, whatever. Gas chromatographs, used to evaluate produced gas and fluids, now used for producing ethanol and testing its quality. What if you do if you're a geologist? What if you do if you're a geographer? Well, there are so many ways you can repurpose those skills. Suitability studies, environmental risk studies, ideal sites for mobile storage units, new uses for gas leases, use for wind, electricity generation, on-site uses, finding solutions for stranded gas, repurposing equipment, So let's give a few examples. Okay, there is a massive shipping container shortage. And think about it, supply chains are broken not just because of factories being shut down, not just because of labor being sick, not just because of ports, but also because there's a shipping container shortage. So if you really want to make some money, start producing some shipping containers. But don't do it forever because quickly there will be an oversupply, so you've got to get in quick. Oil storage during contango. Think about getting paid $40 a barrel just to take oil that you can then sell later for $30. What's the difference between $30 or $37 and $30? $67. Granted, you may have to pay $20 of that for storage, but there you have a margin. It's bizarre. It's not going to happen often. But if you can offer storage, it's always good. Now you need to have multiple uses for that storage. So where will investment be directed from 20 to 2022? We've talked about strengthening national and local supply chains. And we'll need to avoid shortages of food, medicine, essential equipment. Think Maslow's hierarchy of demand, or of needs, not demand, of needs, and how that went essentially from self-actualization. In January, a lot of people were right up there, especially if they were contemplating retiring in a couple of years or in a year, that suddenly, boom, went to survival as you wondered if you were going to get COVID-19. You looked at your retirement portfolio that lost 40% in like a matter of a week, and all sorts of things. So we'll see smart systems, water processing. I've just put a few little things here. Pharmaceuticals, precursors, intermediary warehouses, which can be repurposed big box stores, mall spaces. It could be even repurposed office space, depending on what your product is. Okay, so anybody who can work with the 3D printers that are the commercial level, metal, ceramics, imagine the world is just a beautiful place of infinite and endless possibilities for you. These photographs of these pulls for drawers and knobs for cabinets, and the security gates or for windows, etc. Wrought iron. That's not wrought iron. It's 3D printed. And so I'm thinking about getting in touch with the company that does the metal 3D printing because, oh my gosh, I love being creative. I would love to be able to design kinds of things for custom homes or for things. For example, imagine having drawer pulls. It doesn't have to be a daisy. How about a cow head? Or, or a donkey. Like there's a company in Mexico that does donkey's milk soap. Don't you think they would love to have donkeys' heads for their cabinet poles in their offices, in the break rooms? I think yes. Anyway, 2020 manufacturing, and I'm also saying 2021, 2022, manufacturing is information-based agility. New manufacturing will be agile, flexible, will have multi-purpose, quickly pivotable equipment, not just products and output. First and foremost, satisfy health and safety protocols and serve numerous industries. Buildings, repurposed, repurposable, profound reliance on 3D printers, polymers, metals, ceramics, cloud-based, etc. So the core question is, as you plan to pivot, and you're wanting, especially if you're wanting to do services, think about, how can I help people achieve what they want to achieve? How can I provide key elements so they can start and maintain sustainable businesses, organizations, and more? Use technology to improve economies of scale. Rethinking factory farming. Think about how to process, microwave dry, all sorts of things. Use automation with the same concept of 3D printers. Think about mobile multi-use units. Get them on a skid, drive them around, use them on site, run away, drive away when it's finished. Be the happy face of saving a product. So think about innovative uses. So let's say the dryer that dries papaya or apples slices or whatever can now be used to dry clay, cottonseed husks, whatever. Create comparative advantage with innovation. Just an example, contactless delivery services. Now this is in Washington, D.C. They were using them, I think, all around like DuPont Circle, places like that, to deliver food from a restaurant to local businesses. Now this is from 2017. I don't know how well it really worked. I think theoretically this could work really well. In practice, sometimes we get into the issue of how much it costs to repair and replace parts on a robot. So it's possible that it just tended to be cheaper just to hire somebody or ask somebody to go deliver, or have somebody from the office walk down and pick it up. It's only 2 or 3 blocks. So let's rethink the failed ideas. Reframe everything from pandemic, pre-pandemic to post-pandemic. So the failed idea here is scooters in some communities. Let's think about, wow, how can you assure an environment of health and safety? If you help companies achieve that, you've got a business. If you focus on the essentials needed to sustain life, food, water, shelter, transportation, as we deal with broken supply chains and rampant hyperinflation, rampant joblessness, rampant, we hope, I don't know about crime, hope not. But look at all that, and how can you provide a flexible, inexpensive solution that meets a need, a local need? And how can you help reduce the risk for health, for individuals, or risk in terms of supply chain? Now, again, just to talk a little bit about just in time and how that's not so exciting anymore, redundancy and availability are valued more than the lowest cost. Selective import substitution, avoiding dependence on uncertain sources, and, of course, sustainability. So, work from and eat from home. Think about all the changes, products, services, facilitating working from home, the need for more electricity, local sources. Think about home-based productivity solutions, huge need for e-learning, training content, coaching, training. More than that, there's the how do I do it factor. And if you can show people how to do things, how to build their businesses, that's fabulous. New catering, food services, home gardening, preservations, honest. So again, coaching, counseling services in this new world, massively important. Coaching, counseling for jobs, for education, higher education, also K through 12, all very important. So finally, I want to just talk about how to get started. If you're thinking, I don't know how to repurpose myself, I don't know where to go, I've been furloughed, just give yourself 2 weeks to offer to be an intern for a company, help them, or ideally 3 or 4, and ideally in analyze their situation and come up with solutions for how they can reopen safely, reopen profitably, identify the challenges, propose solutions, create a report, make sure that report's in your own portfolio, make sure that you have 3 or 4 companies that you are offering a free virtual internship for. And then, well, don't arouse expectations too much, but let them know, hey, you get what you pay for, it's free. But sometimes free is really, really valuable. Sometimes free just, gives you food for thought. But I just feel confident that if you are a proactive intern for companies desperately looking for ways to repurpose, you will do quite well. Okay, so that's the end of the talk today. I'm Susan Nash, and please get in touch with me if you'd like, and I will put some contact information. I'm going to post this on my blog. So anyway, thank you, and I look forward to being in touch. And count on more of these.